So for those of you who are not familiar with She Speaks, just to take a quick step back, we are a large community of female influencers. We create a lot of content and amplification and distribution of that content for a variety of different clients. The thing that I think is a little bit different the way we think about influencer marketing is that everything we do starts with insight, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We have the honor to work with a lot of terrific brands across a lot of different categories, and we are lucky to have also been recognized as a leader in the influencer marketing space. We utilize influencers in a lot of different ways. We're going to talk about some of the specifics today around how we utilize influencers to drive sales, we do influencer marketing programs, we do ratings and reviews, we do custom research and insights, but really a variety of things where the goal is to influence a shopper to create a story on behalf of a brand and then really get that compelling story out to as many people as we can. Okay, so now you have a little bit on She Speaks. Let's talk a little bit on why brands are using influencer marketing. So 92% of shoppers have purchased a product because of an influencer recommendation. 57% of marketers say that influencer content outperforms brand content for them. This is in their overall marketing mix. Ad units that feature influencer content are outperforming control ad units by 166%. And then perhaps one of the things that I think is most exciting, having been worked at a large company before starting She Speaks, one of the things that we were always trying to figure out was how, as an advertiser, do we collapse that funnel where somebody goes from awareness all the way down to purchase. And what we're seeing with influencer marketing is that you can get a consumer, a shopper, to be aware of a product and go to a call to action to purchase just from one piece of content. And I'll share with you quickly an example of this, and this is really to set the stage about how this theme of how you can utilize an influencer to create a piece of content that drives a direct sale for you. So thanks, we can now play it.
Pet the soft bunny. The bunny's furry.
Mine's furry like a bunny.
Might be time to shave your legs. You've got to show up to win. Make it to the shower, whatever it takes. No, too ambitious. You've got to focus. Let's talk strategy. Ankles only yoga pants shave, up to the knee rear pedicure shave, or doctor's office going for it shave. Whatever you decide, choose your weapon wisely and get ready for battle. It's not how many times you fail, it's how many times you get back in the shower. While the Venus razor cannot babysit your children, it can give you a flawless shave. You did it. Now don't let a shaved leg go to waste.
Feel my leg. Thanks.
And put back on your mom pants. You accomplished a lot today.
Okay, so what I want to point out about this, so notice that we have a URL here at the end, but also what we did in the video was we focused on, first, if you didn't guess, this is targeting millennial moms. We worked with this influencer group, What's Up Moms. They will come into play again a little bit later when I talk about some Amazon-specific programs. But what we decided to do was ensure that we had lots of calls to action for people to purchase. So embedded in the video, there were a couple of places people could click. And also here in the product description, you can put links And you can see that they are very clear that when you click on the link, you go to shop. And we had over 32,000 clicks from people watching the video and then deciding to go and click through to a page here. In this example, this is Walmart.com. But you can basically take a piece of content. This was a new product launch, so people were not familiar with the product before. So you can take one piece of content, go from awareness down through a call to action to purchase. It doesn't just work that way for YouTube. You can do it in a shorter form piece of content as well. This is an example with Instagram. We'll talk a little bit about some of the limitations of Instagram in terms of embedding links in a little bit, but one way that you can do it is that you can embed a link in a swipe up. So this is an influencer. She's, if anybody remembers the show Sister Sister, this is Tia Mowry. She has a twin sister who is the sister of Sister Sister. She now has a show on Netflix. So we engaged Tia to help us create content for Hershey's as it related to Valentine's Day. This was this past Valentine's Day. She has over 6 million followers, so she qualifies as an influencer who has that swipe up feature. You have to have a certain number of followers and a certain type of business account in order to do the swipe up. But basically, one of the pieces of content she created allowed us to embed the link. So she basically did an Instagram story as one of her pieces of content, talked about why Pot of Gold, the Hershey's Pot of Gold, was a great option to get for your girlfriends or friends of yours during the holiday season, the Valentine's season, and you can swipe up and buy your own. And we had a lot of clicks to that. As you can see, when you swiped up, it took you right to the page, to the item page and again, in this case, it was Walmart.com to go purchase product. So we talked about why brands are using influencers and how influencers can help drive interest and sales, right? So now let's talk about, now diving a little bit deeper into Amazon in particular. There are more product searches done on Amazon than Google. 51 cents of every e-commerce dollar online is spent on Amazon. Marketers are reporting a stronger return on their ad spend on Amazon versus Facebook and Google. Again, not surprising because people are in that mindset. People are in the mindset to buy when they're on Amazon. So not surprisingly, brands are shifting their budgets from Google and Facebook to Amazon advertising, and it's now the third largest advertising platform. Now that's all great opportunity on Amazon, but Melissa talked about this too earlier. It is now getting harder and harder for a brand to be noticed organically on Amazon. So if you're just using the on-site Amazon tools. So what a lot of brands are doing are focusing on driving off-site traffic. We'll talk a little bit about that. So in preparation for today, what we wanted to do was get a better sense of how people were thinking about shopping on Amazon, just to sort of lay the setting. So I mentioned earlier that we are very insights driven in terms of how we approach what we do in the influencer space. So we went out and we surveyed 1,300 female shoppers to understand how they're shopping on Amazon. And as you can see, so we asked them how often they're shopping. Not surprisingly, you have 45% of people who say that they shop one or more times a week on Amazon. So lots of shopping going on there. We asked them if they've purchased a product on Amazon after they saw someone they follow in social media post about it. 54% said yes. You always have a group of people who want to be honest and say, not really sure. We have 15% that said they weren't sure. And then just about 31% who said no, they had not done that, at least as much as they could recall. And then have you ever posted a link on social media about a product that you purchased on Amazon to let other people know about it? About 54% of the people said yes, they had done that. Again, this is not just influencers, this is a larger group of shoppers. So we then asked them, okay, when you're on Amazon and you're thinking about buying a product, what's the most important thing to you when you're deciding what to buy? And again, not surprising, and I believe Michelle talked about this as well, 76% of the people said that the reviews that they see on the product page is the most important factor when they're deciding if they're going to buy that product. Then, of course, we wanted to know, well, have you ever written reviews? And you can see that, let's see, the 4 to 10 and the more than 10 reviews, what is that? 66% of people said that they've written 4 or more reviews on Amazon. So not only shoppers are they consuming the reviews, but they're also writing them. So we were not surprised by any of this, and I want to tell you kind of quickly a little story. So when we started She Speaks, our goal was to create this community of women who were like-minded and had a voice in social media. But what we found was that those women, because they were finding a place where people they thought were similar to them, they wanted to know what those other women wanted to, what strollers did they buy, what kitchen appliances did they buy, what products did they buy. So they came to us through feedback and said, hey, can you create a review module on shespeaks.com so that we can create reviews and see what other people are writing. So years ago, we created that. We posted it. You can see this is a KitchenAid stand mixer. It's one of the reviews that's on the site. There are over 1,200 people who have reviewed this product. Very high rating, 4.9 out of 5 stars, 97% recommended. So we did that, and then a couple of years later, we realized that the feedback we were getting from people was, hey, this is great. I now want to buy a KitchenAid. How can I buy it? So we we started embedding a buy link that does a lookup when somebody on our team moderates that review to launch it. It goes and looks up, the system goes and looks up and finds that product on Amazon.com and links to it. And so for years, we have just found people finding these reviews. We have tens of thousands of reviews on the site. People decide they're interested and they click through and they want to buy it. So as I was saying, this is not a surprise to us that reviews are so important. But we're going to talk about some of the limitations of consumer-generated reviews on Amazon in a second. Also, not only do we know that influencers can sell product on behalf of brands, we also know that Amazon knows that influencers can sell product on behalf of brands. So Melissa mentioned this earlier. The predecessor to the Amazon Influencer Program was just Amazon Affiliate, right? So if you had a website, if you were a blogger and you had a website, you could create a relationship with Amazon where you had an affiliate relationship. You could put products up there. People click through to buy them. You earned a commission. Well, in 2017, Amazon decided, wow, people are driving, these influencers are driving a lot of traffic. We should make it easier for them. So they launched Amazon Influencers. You do not need a URL, you don't need a blog or any site to be a part of Amazon Influencers. What you do need is an influencer social account. So you need to be active on Instagram or Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. They qualify you based on your followers, but they launched this program and now have been actively expanding it since they piloted in 2017. Remember I mentioned What's Up Moms earlier? I showed you the Venus video from them. They were one of the few companies that the few influencer groups that piloted the Amazon Influencer Program. You can see this is their store on Amazon, and they promote this quite heavily. I'm going to show you how they do that, but they have created their own shop, and influencers can do that as well to drive traffic, and they get affiliate income from this. So, okay, so we've now talked about the fact that influencers can create content that sells product. Amazon recognizes that. So how do you use influencers to drive sales on Amazon? This is a program that we have running right now. It's active in the market. This is for Finish, the detergent, the dishwashing detergent. And our goal was to find Hispanic influencers on this because we were trying to appeal to a Hispanic audience. One thing I will just say, in terms of targeting your influencers, don't just look to see, obviously, if that influencer is your target, but you want to look at the analytics for their audience. And now you can get analytics on followers, ethnicity, age, geographic location, and we use that data to find the right people. They then create the content and they share it organically. What we do, and in that content, we embed links so that we can see, and in this content here, we've got influencers embedding a link to buy the product, to buy Finish on Amazon.com. And what we do is we track and we see which content is performing best. So we have multiple influencers participating in this, but which of the content is performing best in terms of driving sales and driving the clicks to Amazon.com as well as the engagement. And then we take that content and create paid ad units on it. Both, you can do that in social, you can do it in programmatic. I'm gonna show you an example in a second. So now if we can go to that slide that had the speaker on it, and play that video. This is an ad. There's no speaking, so don't worry. But this is an ad where we took the influencer content. This video on Instagram performed really well. So we took her content, we created an ad unit out of it, and then we pushed this out on multiple platforms. Instagram, it's in programmatic, and what you can see at the very end here, we have the call to action, comprar means shop now, I believe. Hopefully I did not butcher that. And then we also have embedded, like here's an Instagram, the same video on Instagram. When you click learn more, all of the calls to action take you through to a page. Let's see if I can get to the next slide here. The page on Amazon. So right here, this is where all of the calls to action take you. And you can see the different products, the finished quantum products, and which one suits your needs and which one you want to buy. And right now, so this content has been performing so well that the brand decided to take that ad and adopt it as their digital ad. So the influencer content has now become the digital ad for the overall program, for their overall Finish Quantum program. This is another influencer working with, and just to show you different formats where you can take the content, create the ad units, have the call to action to click through to purchase product. Okay, so tips for driving sales specifically on Amazon with influencer content. This is the last part of what I wanted to talk about, and one thing to recognize is that the platforms, each of the social platforms are different in terms of how you can use them and what's going to work best for driving traffic to an Amazon page. One thing, so Instagram has been known to be the hardest platform to get people outside of the platform, and that's because you can't post a link in a general static post. I'm sure you guys probably know this. So one thing you can think about is if you are working with influencers, you can ask them to include a link to the product on their Amazon, to the product on Amazon that they're promoting for you in their bio for a period of time. And you can see this example. This is Colleen Prime. She is showing whatever the product is. I believe it's, she's got a couple different outfits, elements of an outfit you could buy. And she says in their link in the bio, just click the link and it'll take you to the page to purchase the product on Amazon. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing which we talked about already is Amazon Stories, Instagram Stories, and using Instagram Stories because you have a swipe up feature that allows you to link through to an outside site. You can have the people, you can have influencers embed that and link directly to the product. The thing about Instagram Stories, as I'm sure you're familiar as well, is that they are fleeting. They last for about 24 hours. But there is now a highlight feature where you can pin stories. So see all of these circles here that are below in her profile. These are all pinned stories that the influencer has created in the past. So you can negotiate with the influencer to create a story and post it and pin it at the top so that it can live on for as long as you have negotiated for them to keep it live. Thinking about YouTube, so we talked about the What's Up Mom example. We already talked about the fact that you can embed a link in the description. Another place that you can embed links is in the video itself. Here's an example, I don't know if you can see it, but it says click here to check out our new Amazon store. We have been seeing influencers do more of this, but you can, throughout a video at different places, you can put those little banners up so that people can, while they're watching, click through in addition to having it down in the description. And then just two last examples quickly. Facebook and Twitter, it is easier to embed links on those platforms in your posts and your content. The one thing that you should think about, though, as it relates to these platforms, any of them, is which platform is going to be the best for trying to sell your product. What we have seen, for example, is Facebook has been really effective at generating leads for some of our financial services clients, like Prudential and like American Express, because you can tell a little bit of a longer story there. It has not been as effective for those types of companies on Instagram, because you're more limited in the amount of story time you have on a post on Instagram. So you really just want to understand the nuances of the platforms, but the idea that influencers can embed a link, so they have their piece of content, they have their story that's compelling, they get people to go from the awareness to the purchase. Embedding a link so that they can go purchase is just a great opportunity to solidify that sale. And thinking about the fact that it has become so competitive on Amazon to be noticed, we are seeing more and more brands adopting this idea of how do we drive that off-site traffic. And influencers can be a great way to do that. I think our time is up, but I have a couple minutes for questions, if anyone does have a question. Otherwise, also Missy Tiller, who's here with me and is local to the market here, is around all day, and if you have questions, you can ask us. But if you have a question now, go for it.
How are you finding Twitter these days for influencer marketing, especially in the CPG space? I wonder if it's even effective.
Yeah, so great question. Our president has kept Twitter alive, and it has become really a place where you get a lot of conversation that's politically oriented, and most importantly, over the last 18 months, very negative. So I would think about Twitter a little bit differently in terms of how you promote your product. I would use Twitter more for a conversation and less as a direct call to action to get people to go do something. It is more of a place where people are having back and forth conversation versus just seeing a piece of content and clicking through. Instagram is a lot more effective at that kind of thing. Facebook is more effective at that kind of thing. YouTube is more. I think Twitter is more a place where you can have, and for Finish as an example, we are activating on Twitter, but the purpose of our activation there is to inspire conversation, to build awareness. It's really more about that back and forth conversation than it is, oh, go buy this, because people are really there these days more for that conversation.
What about some of the other platforms like Snapchat and some of the more Gen Z?
TikTok. So, good questions. Those platforms, TikTok is starting to establish more of an advertiser model, so how advertisers can really build sales off of the platform. It's a much younger target on TikTok. We have used it effectively to build awareness for products that are targeted to a young, like a Gen Z, not as much just given the nature of the platform, it's just not as much of a platform where you're gonna see even millennials activating. And it's all music inspired, that's sort of, they started as Musical.ly, so for those who are not familiar with TikTok, it started as Musical.ly and it converted over to TikTok. So they are trying to evolve the platform to make it more advertiser friendly, but we have not, in the testing that we've done there, we have not seen an enormous click-through. It is one of those platforms where people are there for a more specific purpose. It's much more entertainment-oriented because of the music element, so it's more difficult, I think, to get people off platform there.
So probably a good one for anything like gaming and
yes,
more
entertainment. We've used it for beauty, but you have to have an element of entertainment with the beauty. So we created for CoverGirl, we created content on that platform, but it had to have an element where there was entertainment, not just here's my tutorial, because that works on YouTube, but that does not work as well on a platform like TikTok. I don't know if we've run out of time. Other questions that we can answer right now? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the time, and we'll be here later if you have questions.